Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Morning LifeScope. I am your girl, Detra Trueheart, your life purpose generator, purpose provoker, and iSpeaklife mentor. And so come on in. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, iSpeaklife Society. Good morning, TrueheartSpeaks peeps. I see you all in the place. Let me just make sure I am sharing so that the folks can get this. But good morning, good morning, good morning. I see you all coming in. Good morning. Hey, Sabrina, watching from Fort Washington, Maryland. Good morning. Let me see who's in the group watching. I always have to check the page because the names don't come up. And so good morning. Make sure you all are sharing this out on your pages. Good morning. Hey, Katrina, I see you. There you are. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So yes, so come on in and say hello. Let me know again, yes, where you're watching from. And I've got a couple of fun announcements today, really one major announcement that I'm really excited about. And so if you are on Facebook or YouTube or in the iSpeaklife Society, which is my Facebook group for women, you saw it. And so give me 1 second. I'm going to share my post and then I'll tell you about it. And so tag a couple of people. If you are on the True Heart Speaks page, tag a couple of people. If you are on, hey, Sonia, good morning, love. If you're on Instagram, obviously, I think you can share this out to people. So let the peoples know that, that we are live and in full effect. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I see you all. Oh, I need this to not do that. There we go. There we go. Good morning. Hi, Debbie. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. So let me share. And then we can get this party started. Yay. Can you all believe that we are probably, I think we're about 7 days away from the end of the first half of 2021. I don't know about you, but to kind of, some amazing things have happened. But it's also been like, wow, like this year is flying by. And so if there are things that you have been saying that you want to do, child, can I encourage you to figure out how you can make it happen? Figure out how you can work your little whatever, right? And make it happen, right? Even if it's on a small scale, because we're going to be saying Happy New Year really quickly, and we're going to be transitioning into 2022. And it's like, goodness, I can't even. All right, let me see here. Let me just share real quick. But I can't even, y'all, like seriously, can any of us, really like just in our minds, it's like, hey, Stephanie, good morning. I see somebody in the Facebook group. I can't see you yet. So hold on. Give me 1 second. Cause I obviously, I want to acknowledge you, boo. I'm just sitting here sharing to a few groups. I think that's it. All right. So let me go in here. Let me just share real quick. Hey, Toya, that's you. Hey, hey, Adriana. So I see y'all. All right. So I can see y'all now. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning from Texas. Toya, good morning. Hey, Kim, good morning. So really quickly, let me share this announcement. I'm going to share it in the beginning and I'm going to share it at the end. I really want you guys to know about this. So I've been really having conversations, just with women and listening and really even paying attention to conversations in social media. And even just thinking about my own personal life and how, which really is where today's LifeScope conversation comes from, right? So choose you. When's the last time you did that? And I really recognize that we have a really hard time choosing us in certain aspects, right? We have a hard time putting us first. We have a hard time investing in ourselves. Like, we will invest in other people, we'll sow into other people. But when it comes to us, child, like, I don't know, it's like a chokehold. We're like, I don't know, child, that seems like that's a lot of money. Woo! Right. And so next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm going to be hosting my first free 3-day masterclass called the You Experience. And so you can register at TrueheartSpeaks.com/you, TrueheartSpeaks.com/you, in order to register. It's free. It's every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12 noon. So that those of you who are at least on Eastern Standard Time can catch it during your lunch break. As I explained to my inner circle last night, that I'm restructuring some things so that I am not spending a lot of my evenings working, because as a business, I get to create what I want to create in my business, and I don't want to work in the evenings a lot. And so there will be limited replays. And so you can get all the information at TrueheartSpeaks.com/you. But I'm super excited about this. It's next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So make sure you put that date on your calendar. Make sure you click the link in my bio on Instagram. Make sure, good morning, Luna Love. How are you, lovey? Make sure you click the link in my bio on Instagram. And I think right at the top, it says join the 3-day free masterclass, register. And again, if you're working and maybe you don't take your lunchtime at 12 o'clock, you can watch the replay. And it'll be a limited replay. It won't be a forever replay. So you will have to, come back and watch it and make the intention to watch. But I'm really excited about that 3-day masterclass. And for those of you who have been asking, the inner circle is going to be opening up at the end of the month. So be mindful if that is something that you've been interested in joining. Make sure that you are on the lookout for that as well. And obviously, if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, just schedule your 30-minute consultation, your get acquainted session. We can have a conversation to see if coaching is with me is the best fit, right? And so good morning. Let's see here who's coming in. Hey, Deanna, how are you, love? Good morning, good morning, good morning. So if you all have not shared this out, share it out. Hi, Ashley. Good morning, lovey. So let's talk about this conversation here. Let's jump into, and I won't be, before you long, but let's just have conversation today around this topic of choosing you. When's the last time you did that? Right. And so I think it is so important for us to be in space. Hey, Ebony, good morning. Around having this conversation around what it means to choose you. Like, what does it mean, to pull my notes up so I can make sure I don't miss anything. But what does it look like to choose you? What does it look like, and I think a lot of times, and I'll just be honest, like for me, I grew up in a space where I was always on the go. And so there was never really question around teaching me how to choose me, teaching me, how to create space for me, teaching me how to put me first. And to be honest, my mom didn't model that. She was an amazing woman, but she was, I think, programmed like many of us to take care of everybody else. Like, I think even in the space that she's in now, it's very hard for her to do the work. It's very hard for her to do what's necessary to take care of her, because it's so much easier to take care of other people and tell other people what to do, and it's easy, right? And so I don't know about you, if you find yourself maybe in that space, or someone who's in that space. Like, even yesterday, my mom was like, I need to find the channel where I could buy this weight thing where I put the thing around my waist, and, and it's supposed to, you keep it on for 30 days and it just take the weight off. And I'm like, but you got to do the work. Like you got to do the work. Like, so you just want to put it on, and you don't want to do all of the things that the people have been telling you got to do to get your body back to where you needed to get it. And so it's very hard. Like, I'm going to be very transparent that for many of you, this question around What does it look like to choose you? Some of you are like, I don't know, because no one has ever asked me that question. What does it look like to say no to them? And you've heard me say this, so that you can say yes to you. What does it look like to freely and without guilt choose you? Like, for real, for real. Can we just have honest conversation around that? And I think sometimes people think like, oh, well, if you're choosing you, then, then where does that leave me? Sometimes the answer is, I don't know, because in this space, there's only space for me. Can we be honest? In this space, there's only space for me in this season of my life. And so I can't worry about you, because I've been worrying about you for as long as I know. Right. And for many of us, we've seen, our moms, our grandmothers, our aunts, godmothers, just any maternal women in our lives, mother-like figures in our lives. We've seen them, right? And so, like, I remember my mom, hanging out with her friends, but I think like once things really started picking up with me, I don't always remember her taking girlfriend trips. Like, I remember like she had really close relationships with her girlfriends and stuff, and her and my dad did a lot of stuff, but there are things that, I don't remember. You know what I mean? And so what does it look like for you to, like, I know like for her, she's faithful with her mani and pedi, but I don't think that's self-care for her. That's maintenance, right? That's like that's like going to get your hair done every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It's not like, and it could be self-care, but it wasn't really self-care. It was more maintenance, right? And so what does it feel like to choose you? And these are questions that I want you to answer. Hey, Tamala, good morning. That I want you to answer, because many times we spend a long time choosing everything else but us. And it feels scary because you're like, well, what are people going to think? What does that even look like to choose me? And I think that every person's answer is different. I think every person's response is different, but I think it's a necessary conversation that we need to be having, because at some point in time, I really don't want you to look back on your life and think, man, right? I see you, Luna. Like, she says, I have no idea. And I want us to consider that. Like, I want us to consider what it looks like to choose us first. And maybe not even first, but just in general. Like, it's not even about me excluding everybody, but like, what about me? What about me? What about my choices? What about what I want? What about what I enjoy? Some of you don't even know what that looks like, because it's kind of like when people say, oh, well, what do you want to eat? And you're like, well, I don't know, you choose. And then you get there and you're like, I don't even know why I let them choose, because it's nothing on this menu that I like. Thank you all for tagging people in today's conversation. And I think that it's important, to sit with that, right? As we transition into the second half of this year, as we transition into third quarter of this year, I would love for you to have conversation with yourself around, what does it look like for me to choose me? What does it look like for me to make space for me? What does it look like for me to say no to some things? Yesterday, I said this to my inner circle in our co-working session. So for those of you who don't know, I have a monthly mentorship, and good morning. Is that Mama Crone? It is. She says, I choose me first. I see you. And so I think, we were having a conversation yesterday where I was telling them about, giving themselves space to, well, let me say this. I have a membership and a mentorship community called the iSpeaklife Inner Circle, right? And so that's kind of like the next level from my free Facebook group. And it'll be open next week, so you'll get a chance to join if you're not a member. But every fourth Wednesday, good morning, Nick, how are you, lovey? Every fourth Tuesday, we do a co-working session, and literally it's work. Like, I create the space for 90 minutes. I do an intro. I give them 30 minutes to plan their month, to reflect on their month, whatever they need to do. And last night it was very intentional on what they wanted to do in July. I gave them specific instructions for that specific session last night. But as we close out, I asked this question, or at least I shared this question. I said, I want you to not be quick to fill white space on your schedule. And I'm actually going to talk about this next week when we have conversation around for the You experience. So if you're just coming in, I have a free 3-day masterclass Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at noon. And so if you can join me, if not, the replays will be shared. It'll be limited time only for the replays, but you'll have access to them. And but what does it look like? How many of us, when we have white space on our calendar, we think we have to fill it? I know for me, for years, I felt like there was something wrong if my calendar was not full. Was something wrong if I didn't have every little nook and cranny, filled in? And a lot of times it wasn't filled in for me. It was filled in for all the things that I was committed to and all of the people that I was committed to. And so what if you give yourself permission to choose you, and in that space where you can create space, right? You can make space for you to decide and have moments of figuring out, like, what does it look like to choose me? And let's just take away, let's not think about who it might affect, right? Well, how does my husband fit into that? How do my kids fit into that? How does my mom? Let's not talk about that, right? Good morning, Tamika. I think I said good morning to you. I can't remember, but let's not even talk about that. Like, let's just talk about this conversation around, what does it look like to choose me? And I'll be honest with you, I'm in the thick of it because I'm really looking at what it looks like to choose me in other areas of my life, right? What does it really look like to holistically choose me and not feel like I'm, not to say that, whether I sacrifice other people or not, but I'm not sacrificing people. What I am doing is creating space for me to operate at my highest and best capacity. What does it look like to choose you? What does it look like? What does it feel like to choose you? I want you to think about that. Every single week, I give you guys an opportunity to process what we've shared, which is why I ended up going from literally being live every single day to every single week, because these conversations, I want you to be able to come. Like last week, I think I asked the question, what does it look like for you to get quiet, right? When's the last time you got quiet? And some of you will need that quiet time to be able to sit in space, to give you space to feel like, to think about what it looks like to choose you, what it looks like to not make decisions because other people want you to make those decisions, or because you've been programmed to make certain decisions in a certain way. What does it look like to choose you? And I'll tell you, the first way that you get a chance to do that is choosing you means surrendering to God's plan rather than the plan that others have for you. Right? Surrendering to God's plan as opposed to the plan that others have for you. Right? And sometimes choosing you means choosing God's plan even over your plan, because we know that God's plan is so much greater than our plan. Right? We know that what God has for us is so much greater than what we want for ourselves. We know, right? Right? And so what is it? How can you, create space for you to figure out how to choose you and to surrender, right? These preconceived notions that you have to show up a certain way, that you have to show up for a certain group of people, but that you surrender to, okay, Lord, what do you have for me, right? Right. Part of choosing you is choosing, and understanding that God chose you before you chose him. Right. And so choosing you means that you were already chosen before you chose you. My prayer is that you would see you the way God sees you. And I believe that that really is the first step to choosing you, because when you get a chance to sit in space and surrender to God's plan and surrender to what God has for you, then some things will begin to make sense, in a sense of like, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is not working. And God will begin to shift some things. Like, God will begin to say, I need you to spend more time with me. And as you spend more time with me, you get a chance to see you through my eyes. And when you get a chance to see you through my eyes, and you get a chance to see that in some areas, child, you've been settling. In some areas, you've been compromising. In some areas, you've been tolerating and not celebrating. In some areas, you have not been operating at your highest capacity. And so my prayer is that we would all, good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Tam. Good morning, Ebony. I don't know if I think I said good morning to you, Ebony, already. I can't remember. I'm looking at all of these names that are popping in. Tamika says, it feels good to be this way. Can't worry about others. You can't. Ebony says, that's good. Surrender to God's plan. Yes. And so John 15:16 says, it says, you did not choose me, but I chose you. I appointed you that you should go out and produce fruit, and that your fruit should remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give you. I love that, because, sometimes we think like, well, I came into this thing and, I chose God, and God is like, I'll let you think that. You know what I'm saying? But choosing you really means choosing God's plan, choosing what God has for you, because it's so much greater than what you have for yourself. You've got to know that, right? And so the prayer is, in choosing me, I also want to see me the way you see me, God. It's John 15:16, Debbie. And this is in I think this is the Holman Christian Standard Bible translation. But it says, you did not choose me. Let me pull this up here. It says, you did not choose me. I chose you, but I chose you. I appointed you that you should go out and produce fruit, and that your fruit should remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give you. Now, I could preach a whole message on this right here, that the fact that he chose you, but not only did he choose you, but he appointed you, that you should not only stay put, but that you should go out. So for many of you, it's like, well, what do I do? Well, it's not even about what you should or shouldn't do. When you're in alignment with him, you'll have opportunities to go out, right? You'll have opportunities to go out, but it'll be in alignment with how he sends you out. He's appointed you to go out and produce fruit, which means that you're productive, which means that you're producing, which means that you're not spinning your wheels. My goodness, I told you, child, I can take this in a whole nother direction. But not only that you would produce, but that your fruit would remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in his name, it says he will give you. Whatever you ask the Father in my name, in the name of Jesus, he says he'll give you. We can have conversation around that a little later, but we want to see ourselves the way God sees. When we start to see ourselves the way God sees us, we start to see ourselves differently. We start to move differently. We start to, what we allow is different. What we tolerate is different. Who we associate with is different. Even how we show up is different. Everybody, when we talk about access, everybody doesn't get access to us. When we decide that choosing me is in the recognize wants us to show up, is we want it to be in alignment with him and his plan. I saw that I froze a little bit, so y'all just make sure, let me know if y'all can see me or not. But again, what would choosing you, what would that look like? What would it look like to choose God? To say, God, you know what? I'm going to surrender to you. I'm going to surrender to the process that you have for me. Choosing me means choosing you, right? Choosing me means choosing you, right? That I'm not just going to squeeze you in, but I'm really going to choose you, right? Y'all know when you start dating somebody and you choose, like, you make a choice to spend time with them. You make a choice. You make them priority, child. Like you move everything out the way for that boo, right? You listen, phone call, like you in the middle of something, they call you like, hello, hey, no, I wasn't doing nothing. I'm just, no. Like at the end of the day, like, don't squeeze him in, like make space for him. Because making space for him makes space for you. Choosing him means choosing you. Take some time to get into this. You know what I'm saying? Take some time to get in it and say, okay, Lord, you chose me, right? And you appointed me to go out. What did you appoint me to go out for? Sometimes we're so busy showing up for everybody else, right? And choosing everybody else that we're even out of alignment. Good morning, AZ. I see you in the iSpeaklife Society. We're out of alignment in how we're supposed to be moving. And so when you make time for him, and when you begin to see you the way he sees you, things change. And again, what you tolerate changes. What you accept or not accept changes. How you take care of yourself changes. When's the last time you chose you? When's the last time you decided to make space for you and put you first? When's the last time? Like, really, when? And we have to be intentional because, y'all know, for me, I'm very transparent. I'm a mover and a shaker. I like moving and being. And so God has really been strategic. And I think for all of us in this season of COVID. And so be careful as we transition back out, right, into spaces that you don't fill the white space on your calendar and the white space in your life with unnecessary things. And you're right back where you were before COVID started. Overwhelmed, overcommitted, frustrated, exhausted over some things and over some people, maybe even over yourself. But take this time to really be intentional about, what does it look like to choose me? What does it feel like to choose me? Maybe go into prayer and say, Lord, what does that look like for me? For me to choose me. And in choosing me, I choose you. I choose you. And so before I go into prayer really quickly, I want to remind you, for those of you that have come in a little late, I'm doing a 3-day masterclass next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at noon. It'll only be an hour. So join me if you are in Eastern Standard Time, join me during your lunch break. It'll be at 60 minutes. I'll be done by 1:00. You can go to TrueheartSpeaks.com/you. You can click the link in my bio. Hey, Tiffany, how are you, lovey? Hey, Anita, how are you, lovey? You can click the link in my bio on Instagram, and it's the very first button. Click it, register. But I really want you, and it's called the You Experience, Reclaiming You. It's time to reclaim you. And so for 3 days, the first day, we're going to be talking about reclaiming your mind. The second day, we're going to be talking about reclaiming your time. And the third day, we're going to talk about reclaiming your voice. It's going to be extremely powerful. I think that God is going to show up in an amazing way. There will be a limited replay. So if you can't join live, you'll get a chance to access the replays for the 3-day masterclass. But I really feel, and again, this is personal for me because many of us, if you grew up like I did, where you were involved in a lot of things. Good morning, Stacy. How are you, sis? You were groomed to be busy. Right. I did pageants. I did cheerleading. I did track. I did dancing. I was on the usher board. I was like in all kinds of things. Right. And so programmed to always have something on my schedule. And then even sometimes being made to feel like there was something wrong with me when I didn't do anything. Right. Well, what you just sitting around and, not doing nothing, not recognizing that there is a time to sit. There is a time to rest. There is choosing you get to decide in choosing you how you want to use your time. Like, you don't get to tell me how I use my time. You don't get to tell me how I use my voice. You don't get to tell me how I use my mind and what I do with it and how I cultivate. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. And so in this space, in order for you to move high, that God is calling you higher. Part of calling you higher is making a choice to choose you, and more importantly, choose the plan that God has for you above every other plan that other people would have. Well, I thought that it's not about what you thought. As my dad used to tell my nieces, stop thoughting. Stop thoughting. Don't thought about me. You thought about you, and let God handle me. Let me handle me. And so, as I said before, I'm going to pray and I'm going to let you all go. in this conversation around choosing you and what it would look like to choose you and what it would feel like to choose you, remove yourself from the questions and the anxiety of like, I've got responsibility. I've got children. I've got a husband. I've got family, like parents and all of these different things. How do I handle that if I choose me? Don't worry about that. I want you to focus on what it would look like to choose you. And then we can put the pieces together around everyone else. Too many times, the reason why we don't take steps to do certain things that we want to do is we've already started thinking about everybody else but ourselves. Well, how is this going to work because of this? And how is this? I'm guilty. I'm in a new season of my life right now. And really just thinking about certain things, for me, it's like, okay, in the midst of all of that, how do I choose me? How do I choose me? How do I continuously choose me in my business, choose me in my personal life, right? Choose me in my spiritual life, like in different facets. How do I do that? And so I want you to take some time to journal around that. If you need to journal consistently, take some time to ask yourself, what would that look like? Get into prayer and say, Lord, show me what it looks like to show up for me, right? And what does it look like for me to choose you so that I can choose me? You chose me. I didn't choose you. And so what does it look like to choose me because you chose me? Father, we thank you for this time and this space, God. We thank you, Lord, for just this opportunity, Lord, to be in this space. And we just honor you. We thank you that you chose us, that we didn't, I thank you that you made us think that we chose you, that at the end of our rope, we were like, oh, I need Jesus. I need you, Lord. Like, I'm choosing you. And he's like, child, I chose you before you got here. And so for many of us, it's weird having this conversation around what does it look like to choose us, right? I asked the question, when's the last time you did that? Many of us don't know because we've never done it. We've been programmed to show up for everybody. My goodness, I'm emotional about this. We've been programmed to show up for everybody but ourselves. We're tired and unfulfilled, and we've got dreams that many of us, many people, not us, that many people die with, because they've spent a lot of time doing all the things that you never ordained and appointed for us to do. You said, I chose you. You didn't choose me. I appointed you to go out. And so for many of us, we're doing things that everybody else wants us to do. And we're nowhere on our schedule. We're nowhere on our planner. We're nowhere in our life plan. We're nowhere in our long-term goals. We're everything that we do is around somebody else. And I know that we're supposed to be selfless. I know that we're supposed to love others. I know that you have called us to serve, but the word says that we are to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so what does it look like to decide that choosing me means learning what it looks like to love me before I can love you? My goodness. I can't love you if I don't love me. I can't serve you if I don't know what it looks like to love me. I can't show up for you if I don't know what it looks like to show up for me. But more importantly, show up for the God who chose me before I even knew what it meant to choose myself. God, I just pray that you would invoke your presence today and that you would speak and you would abide with your daughters today. And maybe there's some men watching, but specifically for the women that I'm called to, what does it look like? What does it feel like for us to choose us? For me to choose me? For me to say no? For me to walk away without shame or without guilt? For me to remove myself and position myself to be the best that I can in this space that I'm called to? Father, what does that look like? And so I pray that your daughters would wrestle with this and that they would have peace with this and that there wouldn't be anxiety with this and that there wouldn't be an unsettledness, but that there would be a drive, that there would be a hunger, an insatiable hunger to seek your face around what it means to choose them, to make space for them, to put themselves first. I thank you, Father, for this conversation today. And we're going to continue this conversation through my social media posts and everything throughout this next few, days and even next week as we have conversation, Lord, in this you experience. And so my prayer is that you would continue to give me what these women need to take the first or the next step to deciding what, choosing them looks like. Help them not to be afraid of thinking about all of the other factors that could be affected, and just sit in what it looks like to choose me. And so as we leave this virtual space, but never from your presence, God, I pray that you would cover them, that you would keep them, that you would guide them, that you would do something amazing for them today, that you would do something amazing for them over these next 7 days until we meet again next Wednesday, that you would show up, and that when you show up, that they would know that it was you. My prayer is that, Father, do something that at the end of the day, that they would know that it was you. Just show up unexpectedly. Do a suddenly and immediately, a right now, a I didn't even know it was coming type of blessing for them. Small, large, medium, it don't matter. But just reassure them that you are on their side, that you've got them, that you chose them. And so we magnify you this day. We honor you this day. We lift your name up. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So Tam says pulling the covers up and staying in bed a little longer and feel. Yes. Like if you have, child, listen, if you have the freedom to lay in the bed a little bit longer, child, lay in the bed a little bit longer. If you have the freedom to, take a walk on your lunch break, there's some people who can't leave. I want you to, what does it look like to choose you? Like for real. You know what I'm saying? But I am passionate about helping you get out of your own way, me getting out of my own way. And there's levels to it, because we can get comfortable when we settle and things start to really be good and things start to like, wow, God, like you doing this, like, hey, right? And then God's like, right? No, like we elevating. And so it's now time. I have to stretch you a little bit more. And so I'm grateful for that. And so again, y'all on Instagram, share this in your stories, this replay on social media, tag people. If you're in the group, you can't tag anybody in the group, but make sure you go to my TrueheartSpeaks Enterprises page and tag people, share this to your page. There are women who need this message, y'all. Do not keep this to yourself. And more importantly, I want you to register for the You Experience. That's my 3-day free masterclass happening next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at noon. It's kind of like a lunch and learn. I know some of you are not on Eastern Standard Time, and that's okay, because you'll get the replay. It'll be a limited replay, but you'll get a chance to deal with it. And again, we're dealing with reclaiming your mind, reclaiming your time, and reclaiming your voice. And I want to see your face in the place. So you all have an amazing day. Have an amazing week. Know that I pray for you. Know that I cheer you on. Know that I want God's best for you. Know that I am expecting God's best for you. I am expecting your best. I am expecting you to show up at your best and highest capacity, because that's what is expected of me, right? That we just be out here shining. You know what I'm saying? Shining and just brighten up the whole space. Wherever we are, we take up capacity, right? People feel us when we walk in the room. That is my prayer. And so I don't need you dimming your light. And part of choosing you is taking time to refill your cup. Taking time to choose you and figuring out, and taking time to figure out what that looks like. Give yourself space to figure out what new seasons look like for you. Stop rushing into things. And if you do pull yourself back, I have a habit of that, because I'm a doer by nature. And sometimes I have to say, okay, you don't have to do anything right now. Like, just sit in it and it'll come. Sit in it and it'll come. Sit in it and seek the Father's face, and he'll tell you what to do next. Position yourself to get quiet. If you missed last week's conversation around when's the last time you got quiet, go back and check that out in my Insta stories. Go back and check that out here in the group or in the True Heart Speaks page, or on YouTube if you're on YouTube. These messages, child, listen. They will listen. Go get your whole life. You know what I'm saying? And so I'll see you all next Wednesday at 7:15 a.m. And let me tell you, starting in July, really quickly, I'm going to be live noon because it's the summertime. So July and August, Morning LifeScope will be at 12 noon every Wednesday. For one, because Dallas is going to be starting camp, and I think he has to be there at 8:00. And so I want to make sure that that I'm not like rushing to get him there and get him situated. And then also because it's the summer and I don't want to wake up, even though I got to wake up early, I don't want to wake up early. And guess what? Choosing me means that I get a chance to choose and make different decisions. And so I want you to think about what things you're doing because you feel like you have to and you really don't. How can you choose you in a small way? Right? What does it look like to choose you? Right? But then also, how can you choose you? Like over these next 7 days, I'm gonna push you, right? How can you choose you in a different way than what society and other people are saying you gotta choose you? Like, nah, bro, I don't have to do it that way. I'm gonna do it this way because this is what feels good to me. We get to choose. We do. We do. And some things we don't, but in some ways we do. And so I want to challenge you in the ways that you do get to choose it and sit in it and love it. All right. I love y'all. Go register TrueheartSpeaks.com/you for the 3-day free masterclass. It's going to be amazing. And come back and watch this again. Share it with everybody you know. And again, have an amazing day. And when God shows up for you between now and next Wednesday, I want you to tell me. Come and let me know. I want to know how God showed up for you today, tomorrow, the next day, anytime between now and next Wednesday. I want to know because my prayer is that he will show up. And for some of y'all, child, he going to show up today. I'm believing that. I'm believing he's going to show up for me today. Listen, you hear me? All right. I love y'all. Have an amazing day. And I'll see you next week. Bye.